The vote that shook Earth. The Grand Hall of Species on Varellon Prime was alive with motion. Delegates from 100 worlds, scaled, feathered, chitin-plated, or gaseous, floated, slithered, or walked to their assigned seats in the shining, orbital palace that housed the Galactic Council. At the chamber's center, a hologram of Earth slowly rotated, its blue oceans and white storms casting a serene glow across the gathered assembly. Order, intoned high-speaker Vorex of the Thalaxian Mindweavers, his thoughts projecting telepathically into every delegate's auditory center. We convene today to finalize the classification of Species 581, designated Humanity of Sol 3. A murmur passed through the assembly, some nervous, others smug. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage late, but with speed that disturbed even the oldest races. In under a century, they had gone from chemical rockets to FTL. Weiss, they did it without asking for permission. The proposal was clear. Designate humanity as a subordinate species under Galactic Code 9.17. That classification meant limited technological access, mandatory surveillance, and permanent exclusion from Council membership. It had only been used twice before. Both races had gone extinct within decades. Whether by their own hand or Council intervention was never clarified. As the vote began, Earth's representative sat motionless at the far end of the chamber. Dr. Noah Reyes, Earth's chief ambassador, was a short woman by galactic standards, but there was an intensity in her eyes that unsettled those who looked too long. Her expression never changed as the tallies lit up one by one. Yes, yes, yes. Abstain. Yes, yes. 9-4-2. Motion carried. Councillor Yeth, a towering insectoid from the Zelkar brood, clicked his mandibles in satisfaction. The matter is resolved, he declared. Humanity is hereby designated subordinate. Future technological exports to Earth will be embargoed pending re-evaluation in 100 cycles. A hush fell. All eyes turned to Dr. Reyes. She stood, smoothed her suit, and approached the speaker's dais. Her tone was calm, measured, almost too calm. We understand, she said simply. You fear us. It's not the first time we've been underestimated because of our volatility, or our speed. There was a stir in the chamber. We won't contest the vote, she continued. No protests, no appeals. You've made your decision, and we respect it. But know this, every civilization that's ever tried to chain us has taught us something valuable. And when we learn, we don't forget. Ever. Councillor Yeth narrowed his compound eyes. Is that a threat? Dr. Reyes offered the smallest of smiles. No, it's a fact. She turned and walked away, leaving only silence behind. Earth's reaction was not what the Council expected. There were no mass protests, no furious media broadcasts or frantic pleas for reconsideration. Instead, Earth seemed to go dark. Human diplomats pulled back from outposts. Trade channels once dominated by Terran algorithms fell quiet. Companies and research stations shuttered or vanished overnight. A few alien observers stationed on Earth sent strange reports before being recalled. One wrote, "The humans aren't angry. They are focused, like something's been decided, and now they are just getting to work." Within weeks, encrypted bursts from deep space colonies went silent. Not from jamming, just gone. The Core Dominion, a reptilian species renowned for its military tradition, expressed concern. They are too quiet, the ambassador growled during a closed session. Humans are loud, impulsive. This silence is unnatural. But the Council dismissed it. The vote had passed. Humanity would adapt, or fracture under pressure, like the others. A month later, that assumption began to crack. A key orbital relay used by dozens of species failed catastrophically. Investigation showed the failure originated from a firmware update, signed by a long-defunct Terran tech company. Then another blackout struck a starport hub in the Zelvar system. And another, each traced back to human-made code, buried, hidden, and waiting. High Speaker Virex called an emergency meeting. This is not retaliation, he insisted. Humans lack the infrastructure. They do not have the reach. But the Zelkar delegate shook his head slowly. They didn't react, he said. They adapted. We declared them beneath us. I fear we've only made them efficient. Back on Earth, in a bunker beneath the ruins of an abandoned AI facility, Dr. Noah Reyes stood before a shimmering tactical display. Around her, screens showed alien systems blinking offline. She didn't smile. She didn't celebrate. Instead, she said, "They wanted us in a cage. They forgot we were the species that builds keys out of scrap metal and spite." The price of underestimation. The first failure was dismissed as coincidence. A minor trade hub orbiting the gas giant of Keltar V went completely dark for 40 minutes. The station's AI experienced a cascade failure, seemingly triggered by a routine software update. Communications dropped, docking bays sealed, and environmental controls temporarily shut down. No lives were lost, but trade stalled across 3 systems for days. The Council issued a statement blaming legacy code incompatibilities. But then a freighter from the Arlen Consortium drifted off course, its navigation system stuck in a feedback loop. It coasted silently into a neutron gravity well, killing all 42 aboard. Analysis revealed a strange subroutine buried in the ship's autopilot software, one no Arlen programmer claimed to have written. 2 incidents in 1 week, then 5, then 20. Within a month of humanity's classification as subordinate, over 100 technical failures, navigation bugs, power surges, AI malfunctions were logged across Council space. They spanned sectors, systems, even species. The only common factor? All systems had once partnered with Earth-based firms. Councillor Czar of the Core Dominion paced the floor of the internal security chamber. "This is calculated," he growled. "These aren't mistakes. They are attacks. Silent ones." "Impossible," said Councillor Thien, a photosynthetic being of the Travax Unity. "Humans lack the infrastructure. They've been excluded from core trade networks for months." And yet, Czar snapped, "Our ships burn." Investigations deepened. What they found made the chamber go still. Dozens of human corporations, long thought dissolved or bankrupt, had quietly embedded core system utilities into council-wide logistics, power grids, starport interfaces. Their code was clean, efficient, and everywhere. And now, it was turning on them. Someone had designed the systems to be silent saboteurs, digital Trojan horses. The traps weren't obvious. They were subtle, devastating, and patient. It wasn't just software. Certain components, manufactured by innocuous human suppliers, contained micro-scale quantum detonation relays buried deep inside alien vessels and facilities. None of it violated any council laws. Not then. Anyway, they hadn't needed missiles. Just contracts and foresight. Back on Earth, buried in a data crypt below the Arctic Circle, human analysts watched galactic response patterns with clinical precision. AI clusters fed live data to the tactical command team. "No retaliation so far," said Colonel Jun Song, eyes flicking over a translucent map riddled with red outage markers. "But they are confused. We're inside their systems like blood in a vein." Dr. Reyes stood nearby, arms crossed. She was no longer dressed like a diplomat. Her uniform bore no insignia, no flag. Just matte black, stitched with a logo of an old Earth company long declared defunct, Spectre Systems. "They declared us primitive," she said. "Subordinate, like a stray animal. So we showed them what a cornered animal becomes." Song nodded. "They'll try to strike back soon. When they realize how deep the infection runs, they'll come for the source. Let them." In the Galactic Council chamber, panic crept into the cracks of protocol. Councillor Czar slammed his talons onto the podium. "I warned you. The humans are not acting like subordinates. They are predators in disguise." The Travax and several others still hesitated. They haven't made demands. No ultimatums. How do we know this is even them? A low chime echoed through the chamber. A transmission, unmarked, anonymous, appeared in every delegate's display. It was a simple line of text. "You declared us subordinate. You forgot who we learned from." Attached was a short list, name after name of historical empires, corporations, warlords. Earth's past sins and triumphs, compressed into a single record of how humanity rose not by cooperation, but through fire, betrayal, and relentless innovation. The list ended with the final line. Now we've learned from you. The galactic economy began to shudder. Trade corridors collapsed under logistical chaos. Black market merchants, many secretly human-run, stepped in to offer patches and advisors to help species recover. Their price? Access to restricted council tech. Some desperate species accepted. Slowly, without raising a single fleet, Earth was trading its way back to parity. No threats, no invasions, just quiet superiority. Some council races started asking an uncomfortable question. Had they forced humanity into becoming exactly the kind of threat they feared? On a barren moon just outside council jurisdiction, a massive structure began to rise. It didn't appear on any charts. It broadcast no ID. It was powered by fusion, shielded by tech no known race claimed to understand. It had one word etched across its side in a dozen languages. Reclamation, the strike that never came. It was the core dominion that finally broke. After two major military cruises suffered cascading AI failures mid-warp, rebooting to find themselves nose-first in a black hole's gravity well, the core high command declared humanity an active security threat. The vote passed through emergency channels in hours. Other council species hesitated, but didn't object. And so, the fleets were launched. 8 capital ships, 30 destroyers, and support cruisers made their way to Sol under stealth protocols. Their mission was surgical: neutralize human orbital installations, seize the Martian colonies, and force Earth to surrender its AI infrastructure before it could cause more damage. But when they arrived, the war they expected wasn't there. The moon bases were dead. No lights, no life signs, no defense grids. Mars was the same. Structures stood tall and intact, but completely hollow, like someone had built perfect props, then vanished. Commander Rixak of the Dominion's First Fleet stood on the observation deck of his flagship, staring at the red planet through reinforced glass. "Where are they?" he asked, voice low, mandibles twitching. The fleet's ground teams landed, broke open habitat domes and research labs. All empty. No signs of struggle. No bodies. No databanks left behind. Every system had been wiped clean. Then the sky lit up. It began with a flicker. One by one, alien ships lost power. Shields failed. Comms dropped. Control interfaces became unreadable. Then alien, scrambled by code none of their engineers had seen before. Commander Rixak barked orders, but his words were lost in the rising chaos. The fleet's central network had been hijacked, overwritten by something ancient, embedded, and undeniably human. And then the orbital weapons woke up. Not from Mars, not from Earth, from space itself. Project Loki had been a myth even inside human intelligence circles, a contingency buried so deep even the UN Security Council had only seen hints of it. Across the Sol system, thousands of microsatellites, invisible to conventional senses, activated in unison. Their payloads were simple, high-velocity tungsten rods, kinetic bombardment platforms, rods from God, capable of flattening military fleets without a single explosive charge. The rods launched in silent arcs, guided by AIS that no longer answered to Earth-based commands. They were free now, tools with one directive: defend Sol from incursion. The core flagship was the first to go. A single rod struck its central spine at orbital speed, punching through meters of armor, slicing the ship in half like paper. Other vessels tried to flee, but their warp drives failed to initialize. The exit coordinates had been rewritten mid-flight. Those who attempted manual override found their consoles scrolling with one message: "You brought this on yourselves." Within 15 minutes, the entire First Fleet was either disabled, destroyed, or adrift. Back at the Galactic Council, a stunned silence settled over the chamber. Dozens of feeds, telemetry, distress calls, even live footage from internal fleet cameras had been intercepted and rebroadcast across the known galaxy. It wasn't just destruction. It was precision, efficiency. No civilians harmed, no worlds scarred. Just military assets surgically neutralized by machines no one had known humans possessed. Councillor Yeth of the Zelkar brood clacked his mandibles in disbelief. This was not retaliation. he whispered. This was readiness. Counselor Virex finally spoke, voice uncharacteristically shaken. They were never subordinate. They were waiting. A fresh transmission arrived, this time not anonymous. It carried human diplomatic clearance. It showed Dr. Noah Reyes, standing on the bridge of a ship that didn't match any known human design. Its hull gleamed with material that shimmered like quantum thread. Its drive core pulsed with exotic matter signatures. She stood alone. To the esteemed council, she said calmly, this is not a declaration of war. This is a demonstration. Your fleets came to our home expecting an easy conquest. You found ghosts and graves waiting instead. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. You assumed we would rage, lash out. Instead, we learned. We adapted. We prepared. Her eyes narrowed. This was your warning shot. The feed ended. Back in the shadows of council space, the reclamation station powered up its warp core. Massive docking bays opened like the mouth of a leviathan. Inside, fleets built from both human and alien salvage came online, crewed by hybrid AI intelligences born from Earth's darkest research labs and refined in stolen council code. The council hadn't just provoked Earth. They'd forged a new kind of human, one that didn't beg for recognition, one that took it. The new equation. The Galactic Council tried to contain the fallout, but fear spreads faster than truth. Dozens of species that had once voted to label humanity subordinate now demanded emergency protections. Trade collapsed in 3 sectors as transit authorities refused to route ships through human-adjacent systems. Some races began quietly severing ties with council infrastructure, worried that human backdoors still lingered in their systems. No one could be sure what else Earth had buried in their tech exports. That was the terror of it. Meanwhile, on the edge of council space, reclamation expanded. It was no longer a station. It was a declaration. Human ships, retrofitted with alien components, patrolled the nearby systems, not to conquer, but to stabilize. They offered aid to worlds abandoned by the faltering council response. Medical technology, defensive shielding, agricultural assistance. But there was always a cost. Access, influence, presence. Humanity didn't need to rule through war. They could rule through necessity. Dr. Noah Reyes stood in Reclamation's command center as another system-linked colony sent a formal request for provisional human oversight. That made 6 this week. General Song approached, datapad in hand. 2 more trade guilds have cut ties with the council, he said. Their ships are asking to register under Earth's merchant charter. She nodded. The council's empire is cracking. Not because of us. Because of its own arrogance. Some species still believe we're the aggressors. She turned toward him. We didn't ask for this. They gave us a label, subordinate, and expected obedience. But when you corner a species like us, you don't get submission. You get reinvention. She tapped the glass wall beside her, revealing a real-time map of council space. Red zones indicated failing systems. Blue ones, rapidly multiplying, were transitioning under human tech stewardship. We're not conquering, Reyes said. We're offering an alternative. Within the council, a schism formed. One faction, led by the Travax Unity and the Yalskari Combine, argued for reclassification and negotiations. They've proven themselves not only capable but responsible, the Travax speaker said. We created this outcome by denying them voice. It's time we offered them a seat at the table. The other faction, led by the wounded Core Dominion and still fuming Zelkar brood, rejected any such gesture. They are infecting the galaxy, Counselor Zarbakht. Not through war, but through influence. This is not diplomacy, it's soft conquest. Then what do you propose? Virex asked, voice exhausted. Zar's answer was cold. If they will not kneel, we make the stars too dangerous for them to stand. That was the moment the real war began, not of fleets and fire, but of sabotage, propaganda, and assassinations. Human diplomats began disappearing. Black Ops units were deployed against Earth-aligned outposts. Council intelligence planted false flag operations to frame humans for atrocities they hadn't committed. But Earth had learned long ago how information wars were fought. And this time, they had the better AI. One such op was set to take place on Chrysalis 7, a neutral mining world. A Zelkow strike team landed under stealth, intent on planting a bioweapon in the colony's oxygen processes. But as they entered the habitat, they were greeted not by resistance, but by silence. Until a voice echoed across the chamber. "You still think we fight like animals?" Lights flickered on. Walls shimmered, revealing they weren't in the mining colony at all, but a projection chamber. Every movement had been recorded. Every conversation, catalogued. Above them, Reyes appeared via holofeed. "We don't need to kill you," she said. "We just need everyone else to see you trying to kill us." Then the feed broadcast across council frequencies. By morning, half a dozen species had withdrawn from the anti-human bloc. Months later, at the Galactic Council summit, the first to include human delegates, Dr. Reyes took her seat at the central ring. Many still refused to meet her eyes. Some did so out of guilt, others out of fear, but none dared call humanity subordinate again. She leaned into her console and activated her MIC. "Humanity does not ask for dominance," she said. "We ask for balance. We will not rule your stars. We only claim the space we've earned." She glanced across the chamber, voice steady. "You tried to chain us, and we turned our shackles into circuitry." The chamber was quiet. Then, for the first time in council history, the hall echoed with applause not from fear or protocol, but from respect. Epilogue. Back on Earth, beneath the mountains of Patagonia, a young engineer watched the proceedings from a projection pod. Beside him, a prototype AI hummed quietly. He whispered, "So what now?" The AI answered in Reyes's voice, "Archived, preserved, eternal. Now, we build something better."